SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
For any of your garage door needs, such as purchase, install, or service and repairs, Harold's Garage Doors is your one-stop shop in North Mississippi. Don't let a faulty garage door disrupt your day. Call Harold's Garage Doors today at 662-223-0748.
Need some pliers and a set of 30-weight ball bearings.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby. I have lots of fun.
Good Friday morning to you. It's another beautiful day for a morning, and we are here on mornings to kind of experience it with you, I guess you would say. Dave Hughes here, Lance over in the booth. My friend, how you doing this morning?
Oh, it's a Friday, isn't it? I mean, familiar voice here on the other end. You get to see that amazing beard. I mean, what can I complain about, dude? I got Dave Hughes with me today. And it's going to be a beautiful day, too.
There are occasionally some positives. After you pass the beard, it's kind of up for debate. But
things looking nice. You got it squared off. It's like you're going to an interview or giving a podcast or something.
Yeah, I've got to get it re-rounded. I like it a little more rounded. I just haven't been to get it trimmed in the last week or so.
You don't do this yourself?
Oh, heavens no. Well,
that might be my problem.
I sort of do. I hack at it, and then I go to a barber who fixes what I did. That's usually the way it works.
See, my white hairs, they grow faster than the other colored hairs, you know. So I start trimming, and then I get it off, and then that's a no-no. You just got to let it go, right? I mean, you just got to let it grow and not worry too much about one hair being an inch and a half longer than the others.
I would like to say, in regards to the complaint about the white hairs growing too quick, I want you to stare very, very quickly at this.
I see charcoal in there. They're still black, huh?
And ask me if I have any compassion for you. Not at all.
It's okay. I understand. You know, I'm holding on to the few normal colored ones, but the white ones do. I asked somebody. I was like, do they grow faster for some reason? And they're like, they're just slicker. The hair person, I guess you would call them a stylist or one of those types. Yeah, the white hairs are just, they don't have as much rib on them, so they don't, I guess they grow faster. So mine on my chin, man, I'll have some on the side of my hair, that'll be an inch longer than everything else. I'm like, I gotta trim that. It's like a loose thread,
Yeah, but I mean, just trim it back to the same level as the rest of them, and don't pluck it out or cut it off.
No, I don't pluck them. I don't have enough of them to worry about plucking. Yeah, so
before you know it, you can look as old as I do.
I hear you. Well,
I'm here for you.
I hear you. The charcoal looks good, though. Yeah, looks good. It's got some good coloring to it. It isn't like, Kenny Rogers white.
No, but I'm getting there. Yeah. I'm working on it.
Let's hope we all have that opportunity, right? Live long enough to have the beautiful white head of hair and beard. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, as they always say, it beats the alternative.
Exactly.
So
you got that right, man. Well, and to mention that, it was one of those oddities, Dave, that the Gene Hackman passing away, and and his wife and the dog, and there was I'm trying to think of what it was. That there was a connection today with something that happened on this day. What was it? Goodness, I lost it. You got to roll for a second because I had the connection with that. Yeah,
latest developments in the Gene Hackman thing. And number one, And this is common when you're initially having something happen and the reporting has gotten so far out ahead of where it used to be. The details that came out yesterday were a clown show because the door was closed and the door was open. The door was unlocked. There was 1 dog, 2 dogs, 3 dogs.
Yeah.
They were found after a wellness check. No, they were found by the grounds crew. So it's
Partially mummified is what it's
yes, that's one of the
they've been there
latest
for a
details.
while. And the connection was that on this day in 1972, this was the day that they seized the 915 pounds of heroin worth $100 million, the largest drug bust, at Marseille, France. That incident actually is what inspired the French Connection, which was his first big film. He was in that Bonnie and Clyde flick first, and he was nominated or received some type of supporting actor award, but that's what opened the door for him because nobody wanted to hire him. They said he was ugly and he couldn't act and all this. Well, then he gets Popeye Doyle, and it's history after that. So it's odd that this was the day that actually happened, and not long after the passing of him. So
the French Connection, he won his first Oscar for the French Connection. His second one was for Unforgiven.
Oh, what a great movie! Best
with
Western
Clint
ever.
Eastwood. Yeah. It was a fantastic movie, and he won an Oscar. So he was a 2-time Oscar winner. Be interested to see what they do to memorialize him at the Oscars on Sunday. But I would like, this looks suspicious. There are some weird details, but if we've learned anything over the last 24 hours, it's that we shouldn't put a lot of stock in the details as we've heard them so far.
Or the mainstream news sometimes.
No, that's where we're getting the details right now, and they're all over the place.
Man, it's everywhere. I thought when it first sounded off that it would be like carbon monoxide, and then as it's gone on, they were like, oh, there was no signs of that. But if they passed a week or 2 or 3 ago, it could have been something like that. Still, just an extremely strange story, and heart goes out to the family of those that are most affected, of course, and to Hollywood. I mean, Gene Hackman was an icon, and one of my favorites. It was just, I'm not the best-looking guy, and you always look in the mirror and go, man, if Gene Hackman can do that, maybe I can do that. But no, he was just an amazing actor and was able to command so many different types of roles too, effectively, even comedic. That's being such a tough guy. I mean, him and the Royal Tenenbaums. Come on, man.
Well, the thing that I was amazed by yesterday, because you don't really see this anymore, I saw all sorts of other actors coming out and posting their own personal story about Gene Hackman and how much they loved him and what a genuinely great person he was, not when he was in front of a camera, but just sitting around. He was just a good guy.
Well, and they called him, early in his career, he was known as Vesuvius because he would have the eruptions. Sometimes he'd go out to like bars and look for a fight, because he was young and he had a rough little childhood and got discharged from the military and, made his way around. And like I said, no acting outfit that he was with ever thought he was any good. And that was what motivated him for so long. And eventually, I think he calmed down a bit. But yeah, being known as Vesuvius.
Well, and the other thing that exemplifies, everybody who tells you you're no good, stop listening to them.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Gene Hackman was a fantastic example of that because, like you said, he was told while he was trying to start his career, you need to go find something else to do.
You're not going to do this well, right?
You need to go bag groceries. You need to go do something because there is no future in this for you. 2 Oscars.
Yeah. He sold candy from door to door. He said that was a terrible job.
Oh man, you hear a knock on the door and open it, and it's the door-to-door candy salesman.
It's like, I don't know about this guy. What is this candy again? Oh yeah, you've never heard of it, but let me open my briefcase, and here you go.
And with my luck, if I took that job, I'd be stuck with the Necco wafers.
Yeah, the Neccos are the good stuff, right?
Yeah, but
the Chiclets and Necco wafers, that's what you get.
That is such a great example that many times the experts, the people that think they know what they're talking about, the people that have it all figured out, Well, they're 2 Oscars away from being right, because that's the highest acting award you can get, and to have been pummeled with the fact that I don't think you're any good, I don't think you're up to the level you need to be up to, and then you walk away with 2 Oscars once you just stop listening to them. That's a life lesson.
Yeah.
That you can take from the life of Gene Hackman.
Well, and I had you always have people in your life that are the naysayers, right? I mean, I had a coach when I was younger, and he was kind of like that. He had that little edge to him, and it really did motivate me to prove not just him wrong, but anyone that you ever came across that thought negatively. You always kind of get that in your mind early. So I guess it's probably one of those things that's maybe good for some people young in life when they get to know enough, where they keep that the good old drive to succeed, and you don't get the big head. But and some people it may really absolutely just crush them. But Gene had that kind of personality where obviously he needed that in order to be pushed to higher limits.
Well, there's 2 different reactions to that are positive. The one you're talking about as the top of the list, that's the way you need to do it. Somebody is doing that. Everybody is doing that. Okay, fine. Let that motivate you to make them look stupid. Because pettiness is one of the most powerful emotions on the planet. The second way to react to it, ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't pay it any attention because it's meaningless.
What is it? Water off a duck's back, right?
Yes.
Just let it roll off.
Yes.
It's hard to do, though.
Yeah, until you get to be a bloody-minded jerk, I think would be the phrase. Keir Starmer was at the White House yesterday, so I'm using a little British slang in there just to stay in the current event section. Well, we are officially underway with the dead Oscar winner, so we will continue and possibly cheer things up a little bit when we come back here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Good morning, Mississippi. You're starting your day off right. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Paper. There's always too much paper in here when we do this. Welcome back. Mornings on a Friday morning and the last day of February. Bye-bye, February. We are now we're now 1/6 of the way through 2025.
I always forget it's an abbreviated month.
Yeah, it's a little teeny tiny one. We had our leap year last year, so this year we're back to normal. I'm at this point, I'm exhausted. I'm ready for it to go.
You're tired of February?
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. When you have 18 breaking news stories every day, it gets a little tiring.
Man, it has been a couple of months, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
A lot of stuff happening.
Well, and I will say, to be fair, this is what President Trump promised us, and boy, is he over-delivering. Got to give him that. Not necessarily all good. We'll get into it later. The whole thing with the Epstein file release yesterday. We'll talk about that later. We'll get into it. It's not exactly what anybody was looking for. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, it was a bunch of redacted stuff, right? I mean,
it was redacted. Most of it had already been released previously. There was nothing there that lived up to the hype we got from A.G. Bondi and the rest of them leading up to the release. Might be more later, but yeah, we'll get into it. It's complicated,
Phase
sort
one.
of. Yeah, phase one.
Yeah.
All I know is this. For phase two and moving forward with everything else, I don't want free Trapper Keeper Day for social media influencers at the White House. Because that's what it looked like. They were handing out school supplies.
If I had a Trapper Keeper now, I'd be living the good life.
Yeah, well, and they had the plain white ones with the little thing on the front that you can slide a piece of paper down in to label it.
You got the label, the cheap label. You just slide in the front slip. Yeah, we just printed this up for you guys in the back room. We didn't even send it to the printer. Yeah.
They could have got the one with the blue, green, and purple wave swirl on front of it or something. Yeah. SpongeBob, something. And no, they just went with that, and it turned out to be exactly as boring as the 3-ring binders that it was contained within.
It's like a kid basketball game when you go to it and it's 2-0. When it ends, and you thought it was going to be a basketball game, but it was really just a lot of people running around having fun. Yeah, that's kind of what that reminded me of yesterday. It's like, yeah, man, this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden you're like 2-0. No, this wasn't much. There wasn't much to this, was there?
It was a defensive struggle. Exactly. That's the only way you can cast it in a positive light. The defenses were both on their game.
Yes, they were really working yesterday.
Only one goal went in, and that one was by accident.
Was the winner.
Yeah, and that's kind of what everyone was left feeling like yesterday after all of that nonsense happened. They oversold and underdelivered, which has been rare for this administration. And that's a problem because we need to have our A game 24/7, 365 here. But like I said, we'll go into it a little bit later. Anything special about today, or are we just killing time at this point in our lives?
No, there are special things today. Yes, definitely. There are actually a few good birthdays. One of my favorites growing up, Ray Dawn Chong, hit 64 years old today. And Bernadette Peters, 77. She's in a lot of movies, had the big hairdo. But one of my favorites is when she's really young, and it's in the movie, the first one of... again, dropped this Friday, I'm sorry, but The Longest Yard. And you have Burt Reynolds going in, and everybody knows I'm a huge Burt Reynolds fan. And he's flirting with her in the warden's front office while he's waiting for the warden to give him the lowdown on how it's going to work. And he looks at her hair, and he's like, I like that hair. You get a lot of spiders in it? And she's like, but that was like her first role. She doesn't say much, you don't see her, but that was an iconic starting point for Bernadette Peters. And there's many other big names. Mercedes Ruehl, 77 today. John Turturro, 68, great actor. And I don't know if there's something he's played in I don't like him in. Jason Aldean, 48 years old. And a couple others out there. Mario Andretti, 85 years old. I read this, and I didn't believe it, and I guess it's true. I'm going to read what it says. No American has won a Formula One race since Andretti's victory at 1978 Dutch Grand Prix. That's been a while, buddy. Goodness gracious.
Where do you?
109 career wins on major circuits. That's huge. Y'all said Bubba Smith, late NFL Hall of Famer, sometimes actor. He was great in Police Academy. Just awesome. And 2011 is when he passed. He played with the Colts, the Raiders, the Oilers. First selection of the 67 NFL draft. And so that big deal, man. He was awesome and a great actor. I loved him as an actor. Then Bugsy Siegel. That'll kind of round us out on the birthdays for the day.
You bring an interesting question to my mind because Bubba Smith, you listed the teams he played for. It was 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams do you have to play for in your career before you're considered a journeyman player?
Ooh, that's a good question.
There's got to be a cutoff somewhere, right?
Right. Do you start at like 4? Oh, he's a journeyman. He's been with 4 or more teams. Or is it like 8? Where's the baseline on that?
You've heard that term used to describe players who have been with multiple teams, and I almost said that he was a journeyman player, and then I got to thinking about it and said, well, maybe not. I don't know. 3 is not that unusual.
No, 3 is not unusual. Maybe back then it may have been. Teams kept people for much longer, and they were a little bit more part of the family, so to speak. That that has not quite been what it is like now. It's much more about winning and who's got the money and free agency and that stuff. But you'll love this one. There's two of them that really kind of took my eye. In 1692, the Salem witch trials began. A case of mass hysteria. The trials resulted in the execution of 20 people, mostly women practicing what they say, witchcraft. Generally known for the Salem, the village was around in Providence, Massachusetts Bay. Salem Village, now Danvers, and it's not the old roast beef place, I don't think. Salem Town, Ipswich, and Andover. So that's where that actually took place. And the other one that got my eye, 1861, and I want to know how this works. The territory of Colorado was organized. Like, what did you have to do? What did they sit around and go, all right, guys, let's organize this here state? It doesn't say they got their statehood today or that any formal lines were drawn. They just organized and said, okay, I guess we're going to be the territory of Colorado. A little vague, but something happened in Colorado here in 1861 where they were organized. Some of the biggest stuff there, MASH. It was ending after 11 seasons, 1983. I know there's a lot of heartbroken folks when that one went off. But you got reruns after that. And the reruns are always better than the season, aren't they? Because now you you get everything taken out of context. It didn't go in chronological order. Now you get to watch the randomness of it. So that was 1983. And then in 1993, this is when the Branch Davidians and leader David Koresh and his followers, the raid began, and intense gun battles, so on and so forth. We know that story. And also 2013, Benedict, he officially resigned his position as Pope. So a lot of big things happened on this day in history, and it's some pretty good birthdays there as well. Get you caught up.
You mentioned that about witchcraft.
Yeah.
It reminded me, I had to pull it up. This is a story that The Guardian over in the UK put out earlier this week. This story just came out. In the last, 10 years? Yeah, since 2015, over 14,000 social work assessments have been linked to witchcraft, mainly among children in England.
Ooh.
They have been taking them and forcing them to have exorcisms. They have been ostracizing them, putting them in clinics and homes and everything else. So that's not as much in the past as you think it is.
I mean, that's 400 years around, and it's still, the witches are still being found, I guess, and dealt with.
Yeah,
Are they Wiccan, or now is that what they call them now? Wiccan?
It's a slightly different thing,
slightly
really.
Different, right?
They're actually last year there were over 2,000 assessments linked to witchcraft in England.
Man,
yeah. So everything's going great in England.
Yeah, they'll be maybe the first Muslim country with a nuke here soon.
Yeah, well, if they're not there already, they're close.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry, we were assured yesterday they still have free speech.
Yeah, of course.
Aside from the following list of things we will arrest you for saying. Yeah. But aside from that, you've got total free speech. Silly boy. We continue on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this. Keep it here.
Want to know what's being said in the halls of the Capitol? You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross continues on Super Talk, Mississippi.
You better be careful, buddy. She's going to get you next.
Of music.
Oh, you got that
right. It's nothing personal, and this is not directed at smaller acts and more independent acts, but mainstream music is the biggest bunch of homogenous slop I've ever seen right now.
Yeah, is there a genre anymore?
Yeah. and that's it. That's all we got.
And you gotta admit, when I sent you the John Carpenter's original score for Escape from New York yesterday, I also sent it to Richard, and I sent you the original with John Carpenter and the crew sitting there, the one they composed, actually putting it together. And then then I sent you the one with the actual, it has a in there. But you don't get stuff like that anymore. There's no creativity, I don't think. There's nothing that's different than the other. It's all, like you said, homogenous. It's all kind of there together. It's like Jell-O.
Creativity has been panicked out of the arts due to a desperate need to conform to the DEI mindset. Mm-hmm. I'll give you another example of where creativity has slipped away. It's in television, but maybe not the way you think. When's the last time you heard a good television show intro song?
Never. I mean, I love the old stuff because of that. And you get to go back and there's just something when songs actually mattered to the the movie or the show, they were so important to it. And now it's just kind of like something. You may hear some song from the 70s and you go, I remember that song. And then you go back and look it up and it reminds you of how awesome the music was from that era, but they're using it in a 2025 production. It's like, man, y'all come up with some new stuff. Like Joe Austin and the Tallahatchies, baby. Get it, put some new stuff out there.
To me, and I don't know why this is the one that pops in my mind first, the last television show theme song that kind of stuck with everybody, that everyone recognizes and knows some of the words to, was the theme song to the show The Nanny.
The Nanny. I never watched that. I don't.
That would have been like in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's my era of. I might have been busy or something,
and that was it. Yeah. After that, is half of them don't even have intro music anymore. No. They just have a sting and put the logo up and then go right back into the show. We have lost a lot of that, and I think a lot of it is because of DEI-related reasons from several different angles. Number one, we don't want to offend anyone. We want to make sure that we have everyone covered, and the best way to do that is to just not do anything. But also, it's the talent that they've hired over the years. I heard somebody posted it, saw it the other day, saw a video. They took Brad Delp's vocals from More Than a Feeling by Boston and isolated them. It was just his vocals. Mm-hmm. It was stunning. Now, you don't have to have that level of talent to succeed. You don't have to have that technical ability because they'll use the computers and all of the gizmos to make you good, to make you better. You just have to have the rest of the package. Mm-hmm. It's all packaged. It's all programmed and preordained. Well, this is going to be the person you love next. Why? Because we said so.
That's the way it's got to be.
And
as long as you look good.
And now, as a result, you turn on the radio, and the next 6 songs are going to sound exactly like the last 20.
Yeah. Hey, since we'll have a huge opportunity with sports here with Dixon, but William Carey was having an amazing season on the lady basketball side, and they had a kind of a buzzsaw they ran up against yesterday. Blue Mountain University, great Mississippi University, North Mississippi. They lost that game, though, to Blue Mountain. First loss of the season for the Crusaders. They lost at 60-57 in the Southern Athletic States Conference Tournament. So Blue Mountain advances. Now, let me just reverse for a second here, because there was a game earlier in the season, back these many months ago, where November the 14th, William Carey had to travel up to Blue Mountain, and they played a absolute big-time ball game there. 3 overtimes.
Oh, wow.
William Carey wins that game 86-80. So that, this is early in the season. They had played Stillman College and beaten them, and Rust College, Talladega College, or Talladega is what it should be. Talladega. And then University of Southern Mississippi, that was kind of like a D1 jump up. It was an exhibition type game, so they lost that one, but that didn't count. Next game they play, they get into that 3 overtime game with Blue Mountain. Then Blue Mountain goes to William Carey, Hattiesburg Miss, and gets beat pretty good, 67-49. So, they're 2-0 against this Blue Mountain team, and then they face them in the conference championship at the multiplex at the Crampton Bowl. And Blue Mountain gets the best of them several months later, 60-57. But what an amazing season to go through the whole season undefeated, and the only loss you get is in the conference tournament. So a lot of praise and just back patting here from us, because what a great season. 16-0 in the conference, lost one game. That was in the conference tournament, and 25-1 overall. So,
and that is such a perfect example of what Chris Berman always used to say about NFL coverage. Nope.
No,
that's why we play the games.
That's right.
Because on paper, William Carey was going to run away with it again.
Yeah, again. I mean, and I have a little history with Blue Mountain. I got to work with some of their pitchers and things many years ago, and great little university up there, tucked away, and beautiful place, just like William Carey. There's such great small universities here in Mississippi, and it gives me a lot of pride to be able to highlight them at times, because sometimes you do get lost in the shuffle with such big universities and SEC and Sun Belt and the SWAC and all these things around. But there's some great athletes, some great players, great coaches, and great students at some of these smaller universities like Blue Mountain and William Carey. So great job, guys. I know that William Carey wanted that 26th win. It didn't work out that way, but you had one heck of a season and nothing to be ashamed of. We have a big baseball weekend. I mean, I'm a baseball guy, so I wanted to at least say Ole Miss has Wright State for 3 games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully the weather will permit that we will have that 4 o'clock pitch start today, and then 4 p.m. tomorrow, and then 1:30 on Sunday for the Rebels in Wright State. Should be a good matchup. Mississippi State coming off of a loss to Troy, 6-5. Kind of an ugly game for them. Ole Miss had an ugly game midweek too. Actually won it, but both teams, playing pretty good baseball right now. State will host Rice, or actually, I'm sorry, I don't mean host, but they go to Houston, Texas for the Dakin Park. I believe that's the Astros Park. They'll be playing Friday, 11:05 a.m. So they get a breakfast casserole and then get to go out there and play some ball. Yeah, the early game there. Baseball before lunch is not the most fun. I'll give you that if you played it. It's just, it takes time to wake up. It's a game that, you need to get going before you.
It doesn't feel right either.
No, it doesn't. I mean, football, I can understand that 11:30 kickoff. It's because there's so much competition for it out there. But yeah, baseball game at 11:30. It's actually 11:05. That's earlier. So good luck to the Dogs today as they get rolling at 11. They'll also have Arizona and Oklahoma State. And again, those games 3:05 and 2:05 respectively. Southern Miss coming off a couple losses here. They started out strong. Lost one to Louisiana Tech the last game of the back end of that series this weekend, 5-2. Ole Miss beat them again. An ugly game for both teams. Ole Miss just kind of happened to play less ugly. Errors, walks, I mean, it was ugly. I would expect Southern Miss to get back on the winning track this weekend, but it's not going to be easy because you have TCU at TCU. They got a 3-game stand on the road there, 6 p.m., 1 p.m., and 1 p.m. respectively, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So tune in. That should be an ESPN Plus game, and obviously it'll be on the Mississippi Southern Miss Sports Radio. And I also want to give a shout out to Ben Milam. I think he'll be working double duty today. He has the Sun Belt ball game, which will be basketball, which Southern Miss will be playing Troy on the men's side, and that game, 7:30. Yeah, and then there's the game after that, or I'm sorry, the first game will be the ladies' game. Southern Miss will play first at 6, and then you'll have the men playing right after that. Ben Milam will be on, I think, TV today. So, yeah, y'all tune in. Ben's got a great voice, and that's something he's very good at it. I was joking with him the other day. In order to do 2 basketball games back-to-back, so, I mean, you're going to have your auctioneer mind ready to go because that is moving quick. So please tune in, and if you can harass Ben a little bit through text message or what, give him, mess with him and rattle him a little bit. But no, he's a great guy and wonderful teammate here we have at SuperTalk Mississippi. So, and I'll let Dixon cover the rest of the sports as we go this after this. We get toward the end of this show today. So
yeah, the thing is, in my career, I've called football games, I've called baseball games, never called a basketball game because I'm too slow.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't keep up with it.
I can't do it, man.
So hat tip to Ben for that. When we come back, got to go check the email and get ready. It's time to find out how rich you are. It's lottery time next on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
I never dreamed that you'd be so unkind. from the Venable Glass.
Get the inside track on Mississippi politics. Yeah! Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Absolutely perfect.
Can't beat the OJs, baby.
That was inspired choice right there, my friend. It is time to find out where we stand with the Mississippi Lottery. And the good news is there's a lot of money out there waiting for you to win it. We'll start with Lotto America. No jackpot winner. The next jackpot tomorrow. $25.41 million, an estimated cash value of $11.62 million. The numbers from the last drawing on Wednesday: 4, 8, 11, 32, 52, the Star Ball 13, and the All-Star bonus multiplier was 2. Powerball, no jackpot winner on Wednesday. Those numbers were 28, 48, 55, 60, 62. The Powerball was 20, and the Power Play multiplier was 2. The next jackpot drawing is tomorrow night, March 1st. $272 million is the jackpot amount. The estimated cash value, if you take that lump sum cash option, when, not if, when you win, is $124.4 million. Double play. The numbers from Wednesday were 21, 26, 45, 46, 64, and the Powerball for the double play was 11. Mega Millions, another one that continues to build. No winner on Tuesday. Those numbers were 4, 8, 11, 32, 52. The Mega Ball was 13, and the Megaplier multiplier was 2. The jackpot for tonight, $197 million. The estimated cash value there, $91.9 million. Mississippi Match 5, $246,000 is the jackpot tonight. There was no winner last night. Those numbers that were drawn, 1, 3, 8, 15, and 21. Moving on now to the Cash 3, Cash 4, Fireball, and Cash Pop. Quick games, fun games. 2 drawings every day for each of those. For Cash 3, the $500 game, the midday drawing was 9, 3, and 6. The evening drawing was 3, 9, and 1. Cash 4, the $5,000 game, the midday drawing was 9, 2, 6, and 4. The evening drawing was 7, 0, 6, 2. For Fireball, it was 6 for the midday drawing, 8 for the evening drawing, and on Cash Pop, they drew a 4 for the midday number. The evening number was 11. Now, the Mississippi Lottery Corporation has announced the official end date for 8 scratch-off games, and that means it's time for a second chance promotional drawing featuring over $2.22 million in prizes. We have a month, basically. Tuesday, April 1st, will be the final day to purchase or sell tickets for the $5 Lucky Break, the $20 $400,000 Multiplier Mania, the $20 Triple Diamond Payout, $5 Money Bag Multiplier, the $20 Jackson, that one has $1 million top prize, by the way, the $2 Jefferson, the $5 Lincoln, and the $1 Pocket Change. Players will have until Monday, June 30th to redeem any prizes they won for those games, and the non-winning tickets could still be winners. The second chance promotional drawing for those games will be held on Thursday, July 3rd. So you can enter your non-winning tickets by June 30th for a chance to win more prizes. Go to the Mississippi Lottery Second Chance website to find out more information. Winners from yesterday, there's a lot of 4-digit and higher numbers here. Cash Pop, a Brookhaven woman won $1,000. Bought her ticket at a one-stop in Brookhaven. $3 crossword, that's a scratch-off game. The winner there, a Tupelo woman won $1,000 on a ticket bought in Tupelo. $5 big money bingo. A Corpus Christi, Texas man bought a ticket in Pascagoula, won $25,000. Not bad. $10 Jumbo Bucks Limited winner, a pedal man, won $10,000 on a ticket bought in Hattiesburg. And the $20 200X Cash Blitz. $4,000 winners yesterday. A McGee man won one that he bought in McGee. A Cedar Bluff man won $1,000 from a ticket he bought in Starkville. A Baldwin woman won $1,000 on a ticket from Tupelo, and a Pickens woman also won $1,000. That one was bought at a Walmart Superstore in Canton. So the winners are everywhere. You notice from the winners list, they're scattered all over the state, and there are a lot of them. You just have to go and buy your tickets, because that's the only way you have a chance to win with the Mississippi Lottery. I enjoy this segment so much every week. It's just uplifting and positive.
It's winners.
Yeah, a lot of good people getting a lot of good money. That's hard to beat, really. Coming up next, we have news from Fox News, news from SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of Mornings on this Friday morning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Have done oh, goodbye, why? Oh, you have done gone, but I hope someday you will hear my lonesome song.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Keeping Mississippi in the know, one morning at a time. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
On Super Talk Mississippi on a Friday. Dave Hughes in as usual on a Friday, and I would like to remind you this hour of Mornings brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business, not easy. It's tough. It's hard. If you're struggling with HR benefits and payroll, you're not the only one. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. You can call for more information at 601-206-7966, or you can go to mwgemployerservices.com to find out more information. Coming up in the next segment, got a couple of folks in here going to talk about school choice. We have several bills working their way through the Mississippi legislature dealing with various aspects of school choice as we continue to have this fight to get some form of school choice implemented. We're going to be talking with Leah Ferretti and Dr. Katherine Pannel coming up in the next segment, and we're going to we're going to dig into this just a little bit. So this is going to be an interesting discussion. Got a few things before we get there that I want to go through. Just a couple mentioned back at the beginning of last hour. The anti-reveal, I'm going to call it, of the Epstein list yesterday. This was a classic example of overselling and under-delivering, as I said. This was hyped up as an enormous deal. Attorney General Bondi was on the news program. She was on Fox News the day before yesterday, explaining that people were going to jail over this. This was incredible, shocking, disgusting, sick. It's all the stuff we already knew. It was flight logs. It was stuff that was so heavily redacted that some entire pages of it was just a black box. If that's what you're going to give us at first, at least be honest up front. That was what I would consider to be a rare tactical mistake by the Trump administration so far as they move forward with this. Lip service is over. We just had 4 years of that. And this kind of gave a whiff of that, telling us how awesome it was going to be, and having the social media influencers come out and hold up the binders with a big smile, like they had just won a competition or something. And it turned out to be what the internet calls a nothing burger. There was no meat between the buns. Now, there are supposed to be additional phases coming. Supposedly, the FBI had thousands of other documents, and to put that into perspective, the release yesterday in those binders was about 200 pages. So there are supposedly thousands of others that they had a deadline of 8 o'clock Eastern, so 10 minutes ago, to deliver to the Attorney General. Which probably, if we go by this first section, which we already had, and it took several weeks for it to be released, don't expect that to come out today. It's going to be a minute. And some of that is understandable. They have to go through and they have to redact the names of the victims. Yeah, nobody is going to argue against that. But if we're going to promise big, shocking revelations, there should at least be revelations. And we didn't have that yesterday. So it was disappointing, to say the least. It was crushing. Did you see any of the coverage ahead of time, Lance, about how it was just going to be an incredible bombshell day yesterday?
Yeah, it was supposed to be something big, and it turned out to be kind of a nothing burger. And I wanted to ask you your opinion. Is it because... And again, not trying to take up for the Trump administration or anything. They can do that for themselves. But do you believe that it's because there's so much information coming out now about so many different things that maybe they're trying to stagger it? Or do you think this was a true miscalculation by the Trump administration where, you promised a lot, you dropped phase one, and there really wasn't anything there? Do you expect there to be some bombshell later? Kind of a multi-layered, terrible question I just asked you, but what is your opinion of this?
No, I get your point, and there is a point there, I think, because there is, because there are several different ways you could look at this, and there is absolutely no way to know which one is true until 6 months from now. Yeah. Ask me in July, ask me in August, and then we'll know. But for now, it could be a case of building this up, making a big deal. Would be the equivalent of going out in the yard when you heard a noise at night and making a big loud noise to see who you spook out of cover.
Yeah. It seems that there is some of that trolling that goes on, right? There's been some of that. I'm not discounting that that's what's going on a little bit.
Oh, no, there's definite trolling. I don't know if you saw this. The House Judiciary Committee, the GOP side of it, they have their own account on X where they post things and talk about what they're doing, and photo ops, they post everything else. Well, yesterday, they made a post. It's been taken down, but they made a post saying that the Epstein files had been released, phase one, and they were now posted on this government website. Click here to find out more. You click there, and it was never going to give you up, like Rick Astley. The GOP House Judiciary Committee members rickrolled everyone in the middle of this release yesterday. Guys, I don't think there's a complete understanding of how seriously most people look at this and how much people really want to know. That was a ridiculous misstep, in my opinion. But yes, there is definitely demonstrably a level of trolling going on here to some extent. I think it could have possibly been, let's see who spooks. Let's see who freaks out over this because they think it's coming, and then you hit them with the actual bombshell later once this passes, and they go, oh, they still don't have anything, and drop their guard. So that's a possibility.
I see. I love Gene and Mendenhall's comment, and I will, make it aired for radio here. Happy that we're winning, but I want bleep in jail. So I'm, butts in jail, basically. So I kind of feel that way too.
Yes.
I want to see people pay the price for what they've done if indeed they're guilty of those things. And not some rubber stamp, all right, it's nothing to see here, and then you've got the garbage can with the fire burning, floating down the river. Everybody's, nothing to see here now. I want to see people pay the price for what they've done, and if that's jail time or whatever it may be. There's tons of victims. That's the side of it, right? And, you want to make sure that the victims, their names are not included in there. They're redacted, but at the same time, this is a huge deal, as you just said. This is not little, and I don't think the American people are going to sit back and allow a big nothing burger for too long on that without somebody getting an earful.
Well, they're already getting an earful, but I will say this. The next time they announce a release of something, anything, they have used up all the slack they had in the rope at this point.
Yeah.
They have burned their lead. They're back amongst the pack now on this topic. The next one better be a whopper stopper. It better make headlines around the world, whatever they release. I don't care if it's on this, on JFK, on RFK, on Martin Luther King, on any of that. It better be something, because if it's not, the credibility kind of goes out the window, because this is something that was very much talked about in the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. We have set a record with this administration for the number of campaign promises kept already. So you can't take that away. But at the same time, you can certainly damage your brand, if you will, by pulling the kind of stunt they pulled yesterday.
That's a great point. Yeah.
That was not a good idea. Whoever came up with that, unless it was some kind of psyop to see who panicked. And even then, I think there would have been a better way to handle it. I just don't think that was an advisable course of action, because the majority of people, exactly like the C Spire text line said, we want people in jail. Mm-hmm. We want people facing the repercussions of what they did, especially when you're talking about, you mentioned the number of victims, 250 victims, 250 plus, I think. Yeah. All of them kids, all of them underage.
Disgusting.
Oh, we want names. We really want names, and we want justice to be done. And if we're going to start playing with that concept, it's not going to end well in the court of public opinion. I mean, already the jury is rumbling and making angry faces. So better straighten up and really blow our socks off next time, or there's going to be a problem. When we come back, it's school choice time here on Middays. We got a lot to talk about there, and we'll do it with Leah and Dr. Pannel right after this. Keep it here.
This couple, they got married, so where they did agree. This couple, they got married, so why not you and me? Oh, why not you and me? Oh, why not you and me? That's getting there, that's getting more in.
From the Venable. Know where the news is going next. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
She traveled all around, all across this country. Met a lot of people, made a lot of friends. She got the feeling of the swamp playing running through her blood. She going back home, but she don't know when.
Welcome back, Super Talk, Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here, and we are joined now for a very good discussion. This is always a good discussion, always something we need to talk about and keep talking about until it's done. We have with us the director of Mississippi Ready, Leah Ferretti. How are you this morning?
I am great, Dave. It's Friday, thank goodness, and I left my husband at home to tackle the children, especially the one who doesn't want to wear pants. So good luck to him and all the love for him getting those kids to school.
There's always one, isn't there?
God bless, right?
Yeah, there's always one, but you have to explain, no, pants are kind of required when you leave the house. Also with us this morning, Dr. Katherine Pannel with Right Track Medical Group. How are you, Doc?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
And good luck keeping up with Leah's energy. She's always just so perky.
That is a goal that I know I will not reach, so I'm just here for the ride.
Lies. That's all lies.
Well, now, no, it's not lies. We have 3 different bills working through the legislature in various stages right now regarding various aspects of school choice. And one of the ones that I think doesn't get a lot of attention, everybody focuses on the money, as we tend to do. Everybody focuses on the impacts to school districts, but there is a huge impact to the kids involving school choice as well, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Now, let's talk a little bit about that, and specifically, let's talk about the mental aspects. Anybody that has been listening for any amount of time knows that I am a huge proponent of doing something regarding our mental health care in the state of Mississippi, which, in my opinion, is not up to snuff. We don't have what we need to have, but there are a lot of different layers to that, and one of the aspects starts at the very beginning here. School choice can play an important part in the mental health of the students, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, when we think of schools and education, we always go to academics first, right? But that's not the case. We have to address children holistically. As a mom of children with learning disabilities, that is, beyond getting them on reading level or on math level. It's their social and emotional component. I mean, we're parents that sit at the table, and while kids are crying, they don't want to go to school, or if they're in a situation where, their anxiety level is on 10 all day long, their stomach hurts, and they're having to put all of their energy into processing and just getting schoolwork done. We a lot of times overlook the mental and that mental awareness component. But Dr. Pannel is the expert on that. And that's why we have her here today. And I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about that.
No, you did a wonderful job. I think it's so important to point out that every kid is unique and has unique needs. And a lot of people, when you talk about school choice, they don't really see the mental health aspect. That's something that's not really talked about a lot. But, like Leah said, I mean, every kid has different needs, and we need to, fit their learning environment and suit it towards their needs, whether it be a learning disability, anxiety, ADHD, or even bullying that occurs in schools. We've got to make sure that our kids are in the best environment to learn, not just educationally, but also developmentally, socially, and mentally.
Well, the goal of school shouldn't be just to make sure they can do well on the standardized test at the end of the year. You're trying to create happy, healthy, productive citizens. That is the end goal of education in my mind. And I think we concentrate on everything but that last part to put all of this together. And I think we're putting the cart way out in front of the horse there, because if somebody is mentally healthy and has their head in the right place, even a kid, they can accomplish a lot more than someone who is continuously stressed and overcome with anxiety. Is that a fair statement?
No doubt. Very fair. And I think people need to focus on the fact that these years that these children are in schools, when their brain is developing, these years are critical to their development as humans. So you're right. We have to make sure that they are well taken care of in these years. They learn the coping skills. They learn how to become healthy little adults when they get out of school.
And that, now I want to make sure, and I want to pull something out you just said there about learning the coping skills. We're not talking about making it an easy, perfectly smooth ride for everybody, because that's impossible. You're dealing with other human beings. It's never going to be that way. Sometimes there's going to be a kid in class that doesn't have his pants on. So you have to.
It may be a Ferretti child.
It's the goal shouldn't be to make it easy and to do away with the obstacles. The goal should be to equip them with the tools they need to overcome those obstacles and deal with them in a way that, well, to be frank, it doesn't mess them up for life, which can happen, right?
Yeah, you're right. There's no world that we can live in that is going to be stress-free, so we have to teach these kids that stress is a normal part of life, and it's how you cope and how you handle stress. That's what we have to be teaching kids, is how to manage the stress, because there's not going to be a time where there is absolutely no stress, so they've got to learn early on how to deal with it.
Well, and that's it. We're trying to prepare people in the very beginning stages of life, how to deal with being an adult. And Leah, talk about it for just a second here. That's a hugely important thing that I don't think we put nearly enough time on. It seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems like all of the focus with school-age children is on achievement. That's it.
Yes, and and like you said, it is so taboo. And I was telling Dr. Pannel earlier, we don't want to talk about it because mental health is not fun. It's not fun. It's not sexy. In the past, I think a lot of shame has been put on that, and that's not the real life situation that these families are dealing with. Take my own family, for example. We were in a school where it was great academically. Absolutely. I'm like, but my child wasn't getting the simple services that he needed. Therefore, he didn't want to go to school. It was a battle for him every day. He was embarrassed in front of his peers. And what do you do? What do you do when a parent doesn't have a choice? So school choice just opens those barriers. It removes those barriers to allow families who know their children best, not just in academics, but beyond, that you want them to be happy little adults when they grow up. So parents know what's best for children, and they should absolutely be in the driver's seat and have control over which environment best fits their children's needs.
Well, to me, school choice boils down to one simple thing. Who knows kids the best, their parents or the state?
Amen.
That seems like a simple decision to make. Why is it so difficult to reach the point to where we can have that conversation and move forward along the path that fact seems to kind of shine a light on for us?
That is a great question. I think there's a lot of factors out there. I think it's lack of knowledge or lack of education and knowing what school choice really is. I know there are some false narratives out there and fear mongering about what it will do and what it isn't, and that's not the reality. Ask any parent who has utilized school choice, and they're not going to tell you anything negative by any measure. They're going to speak its praises and how it probably saved their family and saved their child from becoming a statistic. And money and egos. I think that has a lot to go, that goes along with it as well. And like you said, nobody knows their child better than the parent, because I promise you, the state and the government doesn't know how to educate or knows my children and what they need specifically more than me.
Well, let's put it in terms, because when you're trying to sell something, you have to make it important to the person you're selling it to. You have to put it in terms that they will understand. Happy, healthy students do better on standardized testing, which means more funding, guys.
Right?
Great point.
And I don't think we really pay attention to that because we tend to be very resistant to change in general. And when I say we, I mean the human race at this point, let's be honest. But change is good.
Yes, it is. If you look at the surrounding states, we are an island, and it reminds me of when Hurricane Katrina came and the media identified us as the landmass in the middle, and Mississippi wasn't even recognized, right? So that's where we are with school choice. We have really take a step. We moved forward early on, and then we're like, you know what, we're going to pump the brakes and let's just see what everybody else does. Well, guys, everybody has passed us at light speed, and here we are, the landmass in the middle. But I am very hopeful and very positive because parents are like, hey, if this works for my neighbor, it can work for me.
No, I think you're exactly right. Can you guys hang on through the break?
Yeah.
I want to talk about these bills. We've got 3 of them that are at various stages, as I said. And I want to get your opinion on what we need to do in a perfect world. You find that you go down to the Gulf Coast. You're in Gulfport. You're walking on the beach. You find that genie bottle and rub it, and you get your wish. What would you like to see happen in the state of Mississippi when it comes to school choice? We'll do that when we come back. Leah Ferretti, Dr. Katherine Pannel, and what's his name? Here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Bust loose from this ball and chain. I'm a hard working man. I got it all on the line for a piece of the promised land.
Of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
No filibuster. Just everything you need to know to start your day smarter. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I gotta plead ignorance on this thing, because if anyone had said anything to me at all when I first started here that sort of thing was frowned upon.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here in studio with us, the director of Mississippi Ready, Leah Ferretti, and Dr. Katherine Pannel with Right Track Medical Group. We have three different bills that are making their way through the process. House Bill 1432 was referred last week to the Senate Education Committee, dealing with some of the basics of school choice and some of the things that can be done. We have a bill that deals more with special needs students. That's House Bill 1078. And then one to kind of clarify how much permission somebody has to get to move from one school district to another. Any thoughts on any of these? Are these steps in the right direction, do you think?
Absolutely, they are. So when we think of school choice, we think of I think of little pockets or little buckets. So you have public school choice, you have private school choice, and you have charter school choice. Now, public school choice, right now we have portability right here in the state of Mississippi. You can go to any school district you want, but this is what you have to do. You have to get approval from your home district, and you have to have approval from the receiving district. So right now, we can do that in the state of Mississippi, but what we're seeing is that home district will hold that child hostage and not release them, even if that receiving district is willing and able to accommodate that student. So what 1435 does, it simply removes that home hostage restriction, allowing more flexibility if the home district is able to receive a student. And then when you think of charter schools, we're looking at charter school expansion. Right now in the state of Mississippi, we only have 2 handfuls, and they are performing above and beyond of what their local school districts are doing, because they're able to innovate, and the parents are buying in on that, and they are successful, and we definitely need more of those. And when you look at private school choice, right now you're looking at ESA, or Education Savings or Education Scholarship Account, and that is something my family used. There was a season in life that the local public school just didn't work for us, and we were able to apply for the ESA that allowed us a pot of funds from the general fund to send our children to whichever school that was able to accommodate them. But fast forward to today, we're assimilated back into a traditional public school in this season of life. But when we're looking at choice, we talked about academics and beyond academics of social emotional awareness. But the other elephant in the room is bullying. Bullying is a real thing in children's lives. There's bullies have been around since the beginning of time, right, Dr. Pannel? They've always been there. But that's something our children really live with, and I'm going to let Dr. Pannel kind of divulge a little bit more on that.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you're willing to talk about that, Leah. Bullying is real, and it's going on. It's a public health threat that is a significant threat that has really long-term consequences and is not often talked about a lot. Like mental health, it's not the sexy thing to talk about, but it's important to talk about. I'm not big on stats, but an impressive stat is children 12 to 18, 30% of them are being bullied currently. So when she talks about holding a child hostage in a district, that's where my mom heart, really starts to ache. If your child is being bullied, there's so many mental health consequences from that, aside from even physical consequences and, social media bullying and all of that. But not to be able to get them away from what is causing harm. You want to do anything you can as a mom to help your child, and not being able to get them out of a district because you're basically held hostage is just heartbreaking.
Yes, absolutely. And that hardship, parents are, we have to pay bills. People are sitting around their dining room table right now or kitchen table wondering how they're going to pay the light bill or buy a gallon of milk or a dozen eggs, for heaven's sakes. And we should not have to wonder, how am I going to send my child to school and they are in a situation where they don't feel safe, they're being bullied, what can I do? And they absolutely should not be held hostage. They should absolutely have the right to be able to keep their child in a safe environment if they're in a situation.
Dr. Pannel, let me ask you this, because I think there is a distinction here we need to make, because you're never going to completely get away from bullying, no matter where you go, no matter where you're at. But this is part of that. Yeah, you mentioned that it's an unsexy topic. Nobody likes to talk about this kind of thing. That's where progress happens, is when we start talking about the unsexy things. That's right. Things that makes everybody get a little cringy and a little uncomfortable when it comes up. Is there such a thing? Not necessarily the correct term for it, but I'm going to use this as an acceptable level of bullying that, well, that's just going to happen. There's no way to get it bullying free.
Well, so, kids are going to be kids, and all kids can be mean at times, and their frontal lobe is not fully developed, so they say things that they don't mean a lot of times. And I've dealt with this with my kids too. Sometimes you have to just teach them to just ignore it and walk away. That's a healthy coping mechanism. But when it gets to a point where your child is fearing for their life, or fearing that they are going to be physically harmed, or if it starts impacting other areas of their life where they can't eat or they're having nightmares at night, just basically that overall sense that they're not safe, it's time to look at ways to remedy the situation. Like, that is not something that we need to teach them to cope with or to work through. We've got to find solutions at that point.
Yeah, I spoke to a parent last week whose child is afraid to go to the bathroom during the school day because last time he went to the bathroom, he was jumped and attacked, and it was actually put all over Snapchat and social media. And that children should be able to go to the bathroom when they're at school.
You know what, Leah, we're going to get off topic just a little bit here for the last second, because Dr. Pannel's eyebrows twitched when you said the word social media, which I totally understand, Dr. Pannel.
I know that could be a whole other segment too, is with social media, yeah.
Yeah, that could be the rest of the show, to be honest. But that contributes to this kind of problem. They're attacked from all directions, and the more of a respite we can give them from some of this, the better off they're going to be, and especially in school, right?
Yeah, school should be your safe space. Like, you should be able to go to school and be with your friends and have a healthy learning environment. Kids should not dread going to school.
No, exactly. Now, these three bills that we talked about, would that fulfill that genie wish that you would make from the bottle that you found on the beach? Or what would be that wish that you would like to see happen in Mississippi?
Absolutely. It probably would cover like part of a wish or one wish. I have a lot of wishes and hopes and dreams for our state, and I do feel like we're on the right track. And we're asking our listeners right now, please reach out to your senators. Committee deadline is next week, so right now these bills are sitting on the desk in the Senate Education Committee, and we are asking that our audience and listeners please reach out to your senators. We've made it easy through the Mississippi Ready website, mississippiready.org. You click on Take Action, and it's super simple because we are busy working moms, and we really don't have a whole lot of time, extra time, but we made it simple. You go in there and you just put in your address, and it tells you who your representative and senator is, and send them an email, give them a call, let them know that, hey, Mississippi is ready. We're ready to move forward with more school choice right here in our great state.
I'd love to have you guys back at some point to talk about the other side of this coin. You mentioned it very briefly when we got started, Leah. The parental stress and the adult stress and the teacher stress, because that's another whole aspect of this thing that could be, believe it or not, helped with school choice. Dr. Pannel, you're educated in all this. How in the heck do you get out of bed in the mornings? How are you managing your stress?
I'm a runner. That is like my go-to for self-care. I love all of that dopamine release. So that's one of my healthy coping mechanisms is running. So, yeah.
I'm jealous.
Well,
I've always wanted to be a runner. I think it looks so cool, but it's just not made for me. So I am more of a sedentary outlet. I like to garden.
Once I became an adult, the one time that I went running, the bear got distracted by something else and I stopped. That's it. That's what it takes to get me running, because I am, fundamentally, I'm a lazy person. You get right down to it. Leah Ferretti, Director of Mississippi Ready, Dr. Katherine Pannel with Right Track Medical Group. Any final thoughts from either one of you?
I'm asking everyone to call their senator, email your senator, go to Mississippi Ready's website. We made it easy. Let them know we are ready to take charge for our children's future.
Yeah, and for me, parents make the best advocates for their children. They know them the best, and to just be loud, keep advocating.
Be the squeaky wheel.
There you go.
She did not say be a jerk. I want to make sure that we put that clarification in.
Absolutely not. Positivity breeds positivity, right? Like, negativity will get you nowhere, guys. So, yes, always be positive.
Now, at some point, sometimes forceful positivity comes into play, but still, you can be positive while you're making your point strongly known. I appreciate you guys coming in here. Like I said, we got to have you back, because I could do the entire 3 hours on this topic and related topics. And Dr. Pannel, we could do a 3 hours just on the psychology part of all of this. I have no doubt.
Just tell me when.
So thank you so much, both of you, for being here. We continue with Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi next. Keep it here.
From the Venable. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And I'm tired of taking blame when I ain't done nothing wrong. I'm tired of other people trying to take what's mine. And I'm tired of y'all playing dress up and trying to sing them old country songs. Oh, now, some days you kill it, some days you choke.
Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings. Since we were just talking about school, this fits so perfectly. The next ACT test date coming up quick. There's still plenty of time to help your child maximize their score results with Jumpstart Test Prep. Every point on the ACT means a lot of money in scholarships, thousands of dollars in scholarships to help cover college tuition. The Jumpstart Review, it's on demand. It's online. You don't have to, make sure the kids show up. None of that. It's right there at the house. It'll meet your schedule with videos, subject area workbooks, instantly scored assessments, and practices that deliver complete content review with all the tips and strategies your child needs to work faster and better on test day. You can get yours at jumpstarttestprep.com and give your child the Jumpstart Advantage and thousands of dollars extra in college scholarships, and that's no exaggeration. That's actually true. So you need to go check it out, jumpstarttestprep.com.
How much would someone have to pay you for you to go take the ACT? Like now, Dave Hughes.
A lot of money.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun, does it?
No, I actually took it 3 times in high school, just because I did fine on the first one, had a good score, and then my competitive nature kicked in, and I had to try to beat it. So, yeah, I took it my allotted 3 times at that point, and made the same score all 3 times and said, well, I guess that's my score.
There you go.
Nobody can argue with it at this point. I assume,
it a bit, right? What is the highest score you can get on the ACT now? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I do know they changed it, because I used to get a letter, because I took the ACT first time in like 83. And I used to get a letter every few years saying what my score was equivalent to on the new version of the ACT, which tells you it was not getting harder because my score kept going up.
Yeah, Thomas says 36 is the top of the ladder there. Thank you, Thomas.
Okay, appreciate it, Thomas.
Yeah, Tommy, we had a couple. Thank you, guys. And then somebody's telling us 32. I think 32 or 30 or something was close like that when I was doing it. It wasn't much above 30, I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's interesting how things change over the years. But one thing that, because I had an ACT scholarship, that's why I'm telling you, and being so ridiculously over the top, saying this is serious, this matters, this is free money if you get a better ACT score.
Thomas says, I would take it again if I could beat my sister. And
yes, that's motivation.
Yeah,
that is
nothing like healthy family competition over the ACT. You need a little, you need some drive out there to push a little harder, get a little higher score. I remember getting a score I wanted and going, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm out.
Not doing this again.
I did all the prep stuff too. It was helpful. It helped you learn. At the time, you didn't really understand process of elimination. You saw all the stuff and all this, and you learn how to go through the passages and narrow down what important information's in there. And it was very helpful for me in 7th, 8th grade to go through those things. We started pretty early, though. My parents were great about that, and they were very adamant about making good grades. So, if you ever, in my house, if I got a C in something, I didn't want to come home, man. It was like, oh, gosh. And then I'd come home and say, well, so-and-so made this on I don't care. You're not him. Your job's to make this. There was no room for error with that, and nor with my sister either. It was, and I greatly appreciated that. My parents were wonderful in that regard to keep us focused on what was very important. And we started early on the prep side of college and made a big difference. Really did.
Personal achievement as opposed to relative achievement. We have had a lot of relative achievement over the last 4 years being promoted in America, and glad to see it going away. We're getting back to personal achievement, merit-based. Mm-hmm. You've heard that phrase a million times. That's what we're talking about here.
Not everybody should get a trophy, huh?
No, don't get me started. I don't have the time left in the show. We got other important things. Don't get me started on that topic. I did want to mention something on a big topic going on right now, the measles outbreak going on in western Texas. One of the reasons this has broken out is because there is a large community of Mennonites over in that part of Texas who have religious objections to vaccinations. So I think it's 124 is still standing at. Even with that, we are well below where we have been. In fact, in 2019, we had over 1,200 cases of measles. Last year, we had 93 in the country. You get the idea. So we're kind of right in the wheelhouse at the moment. There's outbreaks in other parts of the country. This ain't over yet, but we'll talk about it another time when we have more time. This hour of mornings brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Call 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com to find out more. Up next, after Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News, Wyatt Emmerich with an update on the Clarksdale situation.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Mornings on a Friday morning. SuperTalk Mississippi debuts here, and we are now joined again, second Friday in a row, by the president of Emmerich Newspapers, Wyatt Emmerich, for an update on what's going on in the wonderful world of Clarksdale. This was inevitable, wasn't it, Wyatt?
Yes, I think it was. It pretty much played out the way we anticipated. I warned the city attorney that this was going to blow up in their face, and this was silly. And it pretty much played out the way I anticipated.
Now, for people that didn't catch the show last week or haven't been keeping up with this, just give us a brief bullet synopsis of what this entire situation was, how this started, and what happened.
So the city wanted to raise taxes 2%, sin tax to fund the police. And we actually supported that, and the community did. And then the city wanted to broaden that to include economic development, which, as you know, can just mean pretty much anything. So it went from a tax for the police to a general tax. Well, they had a meeting to vote for that, and they did not notify the media about the meeting. And we wrote an editorial criticizing them for not following the open meetings law and not being transparent, being secretive. And they didn't like that editorial, and they went to a Hinds County judge, which is kind of weird because this was in Clarksdale, and got a temporary restraining order forbidding us from displaying the editorial on our websites. That launched a national outrage, and several days later, the city voted to rescind their lawsuit, and then a few days after that, the judge dismissed the lawsuit.
And, one thing that I've noticed in the coverage, it might at best get a mention. I mean, those of us in the media know the myriad of problems that are involved with this kind of action by the city board, but a lot of other people don't. I think it's important to emphasize the fact that whether it was a mistake or not, they broke the law by not notifying the media. This is not a courtesy. This is not something they could have done or should have done. It's literally the law that they have to notify the media before meetings, especially special call meetings, which they didn't do. So just fundamentally, they were in the wrong before any of this hoopla started that, as you said, went nationally. But in the national coverage, me personally, I don't think there has been enough emphasis on the fact that what they did was illegal.
Yes, it's a violation of the open meetings law. The mayor cited another section of the statute involving governmental entities that does not mention prior notification, and it's almost as though he didn't even know that the open meetings law existed. I don't know why he cited the wrong statute, but at any rate, yes, it is law. It's in our open meetings law. You have to notify the media, and they didn't do it. They admitted they didn't do it, which is kind of strange, and they had an affidavit before the judge that said that. So why the judge went along with their request to enter a temporary restraining order is a big mystery. And I think that's one of the things that really alarmed the nation was the prior restraint. And that's incredibly unusual and highly suspect according to the First Amendment laws. I mean, you practically have to, practically has to be a nuclear launch before you can have prior restraint on a news story. So it was a pretty significant sequence of events and an assault on the First Amendment. And all the First Amendment experts and aficionados out there, now that we have social media and instant communication, I mean, they were immediately outraged. A post went viral on Twitter, got over 1.5 million. Is it re-X's now? Is it retweets? I don't know, like what we say now that it's X.
I think it's reposts now. I don't know.
Repost? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, I mean, it was very encouraging to see the immediate backlash from all those people out there willing to defend the First Amendment. That was, to me, the big takeaway.
Well, and even if you take away what personal opinion here, I would consider a pretty open and shut case that there was some judge shopping that went on here. Otherwise, why do you wind up in Hinds County Court for a Clarksdale case? these kind of things, we talked about it last week. There was another one before the first of the year that happened up in the Midwest, where they actually went in and the sheriff's department seized the computers at a local newspaper because they published something the local government didn't agree with. These kind of attacks seem to be picking up steam a little bit. How many times do they have to learn their lesson, I guess would be the way to put it, before this trails off and we stop seeing this kind of activity?
I don't know. It's a form of intimidation. Hey, we can mess with you. And so, anytime you're thinking about writing a critical editorial, just remember we can mess with you. We can cause trouble in your life. And it was trouble. I lost a week, just answering, mainly doing interviews with the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and Fox News. It was kind of fun, but it was disruptive, and it would have been very expensive legally. But fortunately, there were several First Amendment nonprofit groups that were willing to represent me pro bono, and we signed an agreement with an organization called FIRE, which stands for Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. They've done tremendous work all over the country defending not just newspapers or whatnot, but individuals. They defended a lot of students on campuses who were the victims of, political correctness. But they came to our aid and, had a legal team of 3 or 4 people. In fact, they were on their way to fly down here for the hearing on this past Thursday before the judge, and it got canceled at the very last minute. One guy was actually on his way to the airport, so he had to turn around. So, we had a whole legal team, but that's really important to know. And mayors and people who, look, most mayors and local public officials are great. We don't, if they do something to screw up, we might write an editorial. They understand that's the nature of the beast. They don't try to bully us. But for those who would think that they can bully us, this is a real lesson that there's a whole army of people willing to fight back out there in defense of freedom of expression. And
one thing that I would like to note, because you gave that list of outlets you were doing interviews with, the New York Times, Fox News, all of these people, I want you to notice something about that list. There are some outlets that are considered to be left-leaning. There's some that are considered to be right-leaning. Trust me, all of that goes completely out the window when something like this comes up, because we're battling for very clearly established constitutional rights to free speech and a free media. And that's not a direction you really want to step in my opinion, Wyatt.
There's an old saying, I might not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to my death to defend your right to say it. You're right. This was not a partisan thing. This was not a left wing or right wing. Everybody rallied around this little newspaper and its right to write an editorial, and that was really encouraging, and I think that's just great. And like I said, it's not just our right as a little community newspaper. It's your right to speak what you want to say and to post what you want to post on Facebook and things like that. Freedom of expression is not just for the media; it's for you. And so,
very quickly here,
really your rights at issue.
You're exactly right, but we're about out of time. Just very quickly, is the editorial back up on the website?
Yes, it is.
How do they get there? How does everybody go read it? Let's give you some clicks.
Oh, just go. I guess you can Google Clarksdale Press Register. Or just go to pressregister.com, and we have a good search.
Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk Mississippi. What else? And always on the SuperTalk app.
I don't know why this hit me that way, but it did. Welcome back, mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. Hey, you know, I'm prepping myself for what I'm going to do at the start of the segment, as I always do. And I didn't want to forget, and we want to go ahead probably and do it now, Lance. We've got some tickets to give away, some concert tickets.
Bring it on.
The I Want My 80s at the Brandon Amphitheater in May. Rick Springfield, John Waite, Wang Chung, and more. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster and at the Brandon Amphitheater. And we're going to need somebody. Whoa, you pick the number this time. What number or texter do we need on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395?
All right, we went with 3 yesterday. We've done 8 and 9. Let's go with 5 today. Nobody ever picks 5, you know?
I like it. Here's an interesting question for you. 5, it's not, but it still feels like an even number, doesn't it?
That's right. And then when you win, make sure you give me your...
Mr. Callahan, I need your John Hancock on these reports.
John Hancock. It's Herbie Hancock.
Yes, I'll need your name and your Herbie Hancock. But yeah, let's go with 5 today. How about that?
Okay, 5. This is why I could not control myself when we came back.
What was your phrase?
The phrase, be the 5th person to text 601-879-4395 with the words Wang Chung tonight.
There you go. That's going to take a minute. You got to spell it right.
You got to spell it right. Notice I overpronounced it a little bit.
Yeah. Wang Chung tonight, number 5.
Yes, 5th person to figure out how to text that in. You're going to get to Wang Chung in May at the Brandon Amphitheater with the I Love the 80s tour.
We're up to 2. We've had a couple. There's 3.
Well, we've had some short phrases before that we immediately get 50 texts. Now everybody's trying to remember where the W is.
We got a winner.
There we go. Nothing to it. Very nice.
Amory's the winner. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Gotta like that. So you're going to get to enjoy that concert. Again, you can get your tickets at the Brandon Amphitheater box office. You can buy them at Ticketmaster, or you can see if our winner has a +1 yet. That's a third option if you know them. And then we can move forward from there. One final thing on the conversation we were just having with Wyatt. I loved getting the updates, that specific update on that whole situation. But I want to underscore again the fact, what he said after we got into that part of the conversation about there being no divisions there. The New York Times and Fox News both contacted him on his side. Neither one of them, I read a lot of coverage of this whole mess over the last week. Nobody asked, nobody mentioned, nobody cared if the paper in Clarksdale leans left, leans right. Nobody cared because that was moot to the point. And sometimes you got to be that way. I know we are in a very polarized, political, partisan world now, but there are some things that rise above that. We were talking about the Epstein list earlier. I would feel like that's one of them. It's not. It hasn't been by execution of it over the last, 7 years? Multiple presidents, and we're hopefully going to get some stuff going here. And also on this kind of issue, no one looks at this and goes, well, yeah, but what kind of stuff were they writing? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If the Constitution is going to be more than a pretty museum piece behind bulletproof glass, it can't matter. So it's a great example of something that I think we tend to forget about, Lance, which is ultimately it doesn't matter what you're saying. You've got the right to say it.
Yeah. I mean, you got that. You have that right. I mean, there's free speech, correct?
Yes,
and
unless you're in England.
Well, I mean, if you're critical of somebody and they don't like it, it's your right to be critical. It's also your right to pat somebody on the back. You just got to stick to facts. I mean, you can't make up stuff and slander and libel anyone, but at the end of the day, people have the right to say what they want to say as long as it's not in any way endangering or harming someone else. If it's false, if it's truth, though, you're kind of protected by the truth, aren't you?
Yes,
at least
100%.
You used to be.
It still are. You just have to fight the fight now to make sure it continues to be that way. I'm going to use the term ladies fairly loosely. The ladies on The View, you would think they had learned that lesson, but they're uneducatable, obviously. They had 4 different times they had to read a legal notice about something they said on the air, and the lawyers stepped forward and said, no, you can't do that. You're just making it up. Look for another legal notice coming here off of something Whoopi said, because she went on an anti-Elon Musk rant saying that he supported apartheid in South Africa, that she didn't even know if he was here legally. He's an illegal alien, and why are we doing all this? None of that is true. In the next segment, it wasn't a legal notice, but in the next segment on The View, she came back and said, look, I'm sorry, I got carried away. I don't even know if that's true. Then why did you say it?
There needs to be getting back to the reality that you need to have facts. You shouldn't be able to just spew and spout whatever vitriol or rhetoric that is right there on your tongue. You should have and be required to sit back and think for a second, is this something that I should say before it's being said? But there's no repercussion to saying it and then having to take it back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Really? Well, you said it. It's like getting slapped and then somebody going, well, I really didn't mean to slap you. Oh, really? Okay, well, my face says otherwise. So it's odd that you can get away with saying whatever you want, and then all you have to do is just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We've got roughly half of the population of America who has been living their life that way for a decade or longer, where you say whatever you've got to say to make things as bad as they could possibly be and escalate the emotional tension to the point to where somebody might agree with me. When most of the time now the reaction they're getting is, shut up. Yeah, just stop it.
Zip it.
We're seeing some interesting things play out here, though. I don't know if you heard about the Supreme Court arguments that they heard on Wednesday on a case. It's Ames versus the Ohio Department of Youth Services. A woman named Marlene Ames had sued for reverse discrimination because she was denied a promotion and in fact demoted in the department because she is straight.
Didn't fit the prerequisites there, huh?
The promotion went to a gay person. She was demoted down, was replaced with another gay person. Well, the Supreme Court heard the arguments, and they indicated that they're kind of on her side because the case was dismissed and she appealed the dismissal up to the Supreme Court. And they're like, no, I think we need to let this case go ahead. They haven't officially ruled yet, but that's the indication that they gave. It's another example of what we're talking about here, though. It to me, if you make a large enough bucket, it fits in the same bucket as what happened with Emmerich newspapers up in Clarksdale. What happens with the ladies on The View. You wind up with people now that are kind of foundering a bit because things aren't working the way they've always worked for them. It's not happening the way they think it's supposed to happen, and they don't know quite how to deal with it.
Get back to work, have some integrity in your job, do your research, dot I's, cross T's, and do what the rest of the world must do to go out and put a living on the table. Be honest, be straightforward, and I think that's what we have to get back to. And I do believe the president is trying to at least bring back some of that into the press corps.
Yes, and in general, not just the press corps, but I think doing away with the White House Correspondents Association was a huge step. And that was an own goal by the liberal media, because that all came about because the Associated Press, sued when he banned them from the press conferences. And
just call it the Gulf of America.
Yes. And when it went to court, that case went to court, the judge said, okay, not only is that within their rights, you mentioned the White House Correspondents Association. I'm not even sure why any president is allowing that to continue. They have no authority. They have no ability to control who does and doesn't get to go in there. If it were me, I'd do away with it. And President Trump said, you got a pretty good point there, and just pull the plug on it. So they brought that on themselves because the world is not working the way it has for the last decade or more, and they don't know what to do. The same old plays aren't working anymore, and they don't have a coach, so it's not going to end well. When we come back, going to inject some Western atmosphere. The sports cowboy will join us. Dixon Williams next on Mornings on Super.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It's an Ennio Morricone movie. Eastwood is in it. For a few dollars more. A great spaghetti western.
I knew you said one of those spaghetti westerns, so I kind of read down some.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Name That Tune on SuperTalk,
not as easily
Mississippi.
recognizable as the Good, Bad, and Ugly.
No, I tried to throw you a little bit on that.
Yeah, you got a little, I know it had Eastwood in it, but still kind of obscure.
Right.
That was no Bonanza theme.
No.
Yeah.
We're digging deep around here. We dig deep.
Little bit out in the weeds, which is where Lance spends his quality time. He comes up with great stuff there. Joining us now, the cowboy himself, Dixon Cowboy Williams. How you doing this morning, Dixon?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm glad to hear it. Much lower number of alert emails this week, so I assume things are going better than last week.
Well, yeah. Kind of settled down a little bit, and the weather behaving a little bit toward the end of this week and over the weekend at least, so we'll be glad for that and go from there.
Well, we won't talk about next week's weather forecast. Let's not even bring that up. You're in a good mood.
Exactly.
Tell us what's going on.
Okay, got a couple of big headlines we got to get out of the way. First of all, my friend Joy Lee McNellis, the Lady Eagle basketball coach, has decided that she's going to retire at the end of this season. After 34 seasons as Division I head coach, she was first at Memphis and then back at Southern Miss as an assistant, and then she took over as the head coach of the Lady Eagles. And she has led the Lady Eagles to 3 NCAA tournaments, a 103-47 win-loss overall record. And she has overall got 550 wins in her career, and she will be honored at halftime of the game tonight, believe it or not, the men's basketball game, when USM plays Troy tonight in the Reed Green Coliseum. We'll have more on that in just a second. The other big headline, and you touched on it a little bit this earlier, you guys, the Lady Crusaders of William Carey, and it's always tough to go through the regular season undefeated and then get into your tournaments and postseason and stuff like that. And boom, came Blue Mountain and took out a 60-57 win over the Lady Crusaders and stopped their program best 25-game win streak, but it does not stop their season. The Lady Crusaders will continue as they have received an automatic bid with the winning regular season conference title to the NAIA opening round, and they will wait to see which opening round host they will be heading to for the postseason play as well. As I mentioned, Southern Miss will play their basketball game tonight, not tomorrow, in the Reed Green Coliseum versus the Troy Trojans. And they will, of course, all teams in the Sun Belt, just like the SEC, get into the Sun Belt Conference tournament. So the Golden Eagles will not stop playing tonight when they finish with Troy. The Eagles are 10-20, 5-12 in the Sun Belt, while the Trojans come in 19-10, 12-5 in the Sun Belt. And tip-off tonight in the Reed Green Coliseum is at 7:30 for that one. Then we got some baseball action this morning, believe it or not, as Mississippi State travels to, I believe it's in Houston. Yes, it is. They travel out to Houston in a tournament out there. And they will take on the Rice Owls this morning with 11 o'clock first pitch, 10:30 airtime on most of the Mississippi State Baseball Network. After them this afternoon, Oklahoma State takes on Tennessee, and Game 3 tonight at 7 is Arizona takes on Texas A&M in the tournament, and of course it'll continue then on Saturday and Sunday. Now, there are 5 still undefeated baseball teams in the Southeastern Conference. And they are Alabama at 9-0, Florida is 9-0, South Carolina is 9-0, Oklahoma 8-0, Tennessee is 8-0, Georgia is 9-1, Auburn is 8-1, LSU is 8-1, Vanderbilt is 8-1, Arkansas is 7-1, Ole Miss is 7-1, Kentucky is 6-1, Texas is 6-1, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs are 6-2, A&M 5-2, and that's the way it goes. And the conference schedule kicks up in about 2 weeks as we get into the month of March. Now, we've got, let me see some other stuff. There we go. The Ole Miss Rebels are at home against Wright State this weekend. They have a 4 o'clock first pitch this afternoon. And then Saturday will be a flagship-only game when they take on Wright State. And that will be also, I believe, a 4 o'clock first pitch on that one. Then on Sunday, will be a network game for the Rebels against Wright State on Sunday, and that will be a 1:30 first pitch, 1 o'clock airtime on the Ole Miss Baseball Network. Now we turn to basketball action for the Southeastern Conference. As we're nearing the near end of the regular season, just about to get into the conference tournament in about another week or so, Oklahoma will be at Ole Miss to take on the Rebels. That's a 1 o'clock tip and a 12:30 airtime tomorrow on the Ole Miss Basketball Network. LSU will be at Mississippi State to play the Bulldogs, who have a 2:30 tip in the Humphrey Coliseum and 2 o'clock airtime on the MSU Basketball Network. Some of the other action on Saturday, number 1 Auburn will be at Kentucky. Arkansas will be at South Carolina, who is still looking for the first conference win of the season. Alabama is at Tennessee. LSU, as I mentioned, is at State, and Oklahoma at Ole Miss. Missouri is at Vanderbilt. Georgia at Texas, and Texas A&M is at number 3 Florida. And the finalists for the Howell and Gillum trophies have been announced by the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. For the Howell Trophy for the Men's Basketball College Player of the Year, Josh Hubbard from Mississippi State, Sean Padula of Ole Miss, and Deshaun Ruffin of Jackson State. For the Gillum Trophy for the Women's Basketball College Player of the Year is Jerkayla Jordan from Mississippi State, Madison Scott from Ole Miss, and Talia Dilworth from Jackson State. And they will be announced as the winner on March the 10th at the Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia, I believe it is. And the Gulf South Conference tournament gets underway on Monday. Delta State has clinched a spot in there for the men's tournament. They finished the regular season tomorrow against Mississippi College, and the women have a little more work to do. The Lady Choctaws of Mississippi College are hanging on to the last spot in the women's Gulf South Conference tournament at 10-11, and of course they'll play the Lady States from the Delta State, who are 9-12. Lady Choctaws are 10-11, and so that's a battle to see who will make it into the women's Gulf South Conference tournament, which starts on Monday.
So nothing going on.
Yeah, who is Wright State named after, Dixon? Or
Orville.
There you go, Orville and Wilbur Wright. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great call there. Salina, Ohio. They were Dayton natives. It's a little trivia for us. And they're actually known as the Raiders, you know. You name it after Flyers, but you name it, your mascot's the Raider.
Well,
a little confusing now.
Kind of.
But see, I wish we had time to dig in and find out why Orville was Dixon's favorite Wright brother, because he just named him Wilbur.
Wilbur just he's a nobody. Yeah, he was the one
just hung around.
Yeah, he just crunked the engine, right? Or,
Hey, Wilbur, how many of that plier over there?
Orville and what's his name?
They were bicycle guys.
Yeah, they were. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, they should have named the team instead of the Raiders. Should have been the 10 Speeds. Nobody would have got it. It would have been perfect.
You're like, what is that?
The mascot costume would have been exceptional.
Yeah, just like a 10-speed. You know?
See, they should have come to us and they should have asked us about this. But as usual, they made the same. Yeah, they made the same critical mistake so many people in this role make. They don't ask the three of us what they should do.
Exactly.
Now, that's a mistake. It really is. The logo would have been like a 10-speed with a guy kneeling down, pumping up the tire.
Yeah, putting the chain back on.
Putting the chain back on. Pulling your pants out of the chain.
Yeah.
Chances are good somebody could get an NIL deal.
Oh, of course.
And then you had those
with
pedals.
Schwinn.
You had those pedals that had those little teeth on it. We call rat traps.
Yeah, that was real good for your
and you don't
your
ride
shins.
barefoot on those things.
No barefoot and shins. That would eat those shins up when you slip the pedal.
I lost at least a medium-sized dog's worth of shin meat to those things when I was a kid. Holy cow, that hurt.
No doubt.
That hurt. But back in the day, when that was happening, that would happen. You got blood flowing down your leg. You get back on and you keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all remember the sports movie, was it American Flyers with, Kevin Costner? It was the bicycle movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
The problem is, I don't know about you guys, but now if I don't sleep in exactly the correct position, I'm disabled for the day.
You got it.
There's some part of my body just isn't working at that point until maybe late afternoon. So, yeah, it's amazing how things change, isn't it? Well, Dixon, you got a busy weekend planned, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll find some nap time somewhere in there.
Maybe. We'll see. Have a couple of run-roo games. That might help.
He doesn't want to publicly commit to the nap, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, when you're juggling basketball and baseball, and with baseball you never know.
Yeah.
You can't even pull the cot out. You're just waiting to make sure it all comes on time, running smooth.
Right.
And Dixon makes sure it does.
All the brakes play.
He does a yeoman's job here at SuperTalk Mississippi. If you enjoy athletics on SuperTalk Mississippi, this is the man you can thank for that, Dixon Williams, because he makes it all operate. He makes it run as smooth as a bike with normal pedals on it.
Yeah, and young people running it, right?
Coaster brakes.
Yeah, well, still, you got to have a ringmaster. No matter what. Dixon, always enjoy it, my friend. You have a wonderful weekend, and we'll do it again next week. Final segment of Mornings on the way next. Final segment of Mornings for February up next. Keep it here.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Surely there must be something you can do.
I'm doing everything I can. And stop calling me Shirley.
Like I took the wrong week to quit drinking.
Definitely the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
You got that right.
That was a great movie.
Oh, man, I love it. And Lloyd Bridges, what genius casting. Put him in there. The crazy eyes and the hair and all. I mean, goodness gracious.
Welcome back to Mornings, and we've got a few things. I've got some cleanup to do. I don't know if you have anything that you want to do.
I'm anxious to hear Dave.
He very quickly backed away. Did you notice that? One thing, actually got an email during the break from the Social Security Administration, because that's exactly how exciting and lively my online life is. They have coming up next Thursday, Slam the Scam Day. Apparently, Social Security scams are becoming a big thing. And you think, how? Why? Well, some of the advice they give, you can recognize a scam by signs that include an unexpected problem with your benefits, or the offer of a prize or a benefit increase. If you get an email or a text or a message on social media saying you could win a prize from Social Security, please remember it's not a lottery.
Wouldn't it be funny if they brought back the Nigerian prince? It's like, if you sign over your Social Security benefits, we will make sure that you get your deposit of $100 million from the Nigerian prince. Remember that scam a while back?
If they haven't tied that into Social Security yet, just wait.
Yeah,
it's definitely coming. A request for an unusual payment, like through cryptocurrency, gift cards, gold bars, wire transfers, with the promise of keeping your money safe. Did you hear about the thing that's been going on down in Florida? They busted this ring of people who were posing as couriers that would take your gold bars to a safe, secure location. And they had the victims actually package them up very well, and they would send their courier by to get it and take it off and charge them for the storage and steal their gold bar. Number one, who has a gold bar lying around the house?
You don't really know where it's going either. You know, you haven't inspected the place, or you haven't done business with them. But come on by and get my gold for me. It's just taking up too much room here.
Yeah. Now, gold bar is not quite as common. The most common method, gift cards. If they ask you to go get a gift card for anything, for Steam, that's a popular one, Apple gift cards, to give them the numbers over the phone, they are scamming you, period. Plain and simple. There are no exceptions. That's just the way that works. So just wanted to put that out because Slam the Scam Day is the day before you and I reconvene next Friday, and I wanted to make sure to get that in.
Well, it's also Sleep in Public Day today, so we have that going for us.
I am very, very proud and impressed that neither of us has actually celebrated that yet.
I'm not going to pull that one off, I don't think.
Well, I'm going to end with a little bit of a lightning round here. We'll put 2 minutes on the clock and let's see how many of these we can get through, because I have several. There's a Craigslist ad in Denver selling 3 bags of gasoline.
Right, yeah.
Bags. They're clear. They have a picture. They're clear plastic bags, each one with 11 gallons of what they describe as old but goodish gasoline.
Right.
They're zip-tied together at the top. If that sounds appealing to you, it's probably time to do a reevaluation of your life choices.
That's like how they would sell gas in Iraq after the war. You'd see pictures of them in like garbage bags full of gas, pouring it into something, getting into their car.
I am disturbed enough that they sell milk in bags in Canada. Let's not start selling gas that way, too, shall we?
Milk in a bag.
South Carolina, Monday evening, a guy tried to break into a house. The person that lived there had rigged a booby trap with a shotgun pointed at the door. When he opened the door, it went off and it killed him.
No Dale Gribble trick.
Yes, but it works.
It worked on the wrong person.
A Washington man has been arrested. He stole an 80-foot commercial fishing boat with the crew on board.
Wow. Hijacked it. That's pirate. That's pirate style.
That's piracy. It's flat out
privateer.
Piracy. But let me ask you, how big is that guy's, backbone? We'll go with backbone. That takes a lot of...
I just bought the boat. You're my crew. Let's go.
Yeah, it takes a lot of chutzpah to decide that's a good idea. And finally, we have the Parade of Planets tonight, where we have been told that all 7 planets will be visible. They're lying.
You got to have a telescope.
For 2 of them, you'll definitely have to have a telescope. 2 of them, Saturn and Mercury, are going to be right at the horizon line, which means buildings and trees are going to block it around here. The other 3 will be visible. Well, when you say if you go outside tonight at sunset, you can see Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, well, that doesn't make a news story. So just want to set your expectations properly. You have a wonderful weekend. You too, buddy. Lance,
have a great weekend,
as always. We'll do this again next Friday here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Have a good one.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.